On March 5, 2026, the fragile peace of the Middle East shattered. The United States Navy took an action not seen in decades. A U.S. submarine, operating under direct presidential orders, sank an Iranian frigate in the Arabian Sea. This was not a drone strike or a missile launched from afar. It was a direct naval engagement. The weapon used was a heavyweight torpedo. The White House confirmed the strike within hours. They labeled it Operation Epic Fury. This single event set off a chain reaction. It sparked a crisis in Washington, D.C., and sent shockwaves across the globe. The rules of engagement have changed, and, quickly. The official story from the Pentagon is one of retaliation. They state that recent drone attacks attributed to Iranian-backed forces had killed American service members stationed at regional bases. The strike at sea immediately ignited a political firestorm back in Washington. The president made a critical choice. He did not seek congressional approval before ordering the attack. He cited his authority as commander-in-chief to act swiftly in defense of the nation. This decision placed him on a direct collision course with Congress. Lawmakers from both parties were caught off guard by the speed and severity of the military action. Many felt that such a significant escalation, effectively an act of war, required their consent. The debate is not just about this single strike. It is about the fundamental balance of power in the U.S. government. In a dramatic response, the House of Representatives moved with unusual speed. A bipartisan group of lawmakers immediately invoked the War Powers Act of 1973. The consequences of Operation Epic Fury are being felt far beyond the halls of power. The most immediate impact is on the global economy. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for the world's oil supply. Roughly 1/5 of all global petroleum liquids pass through this narrow waterway each day. Following the news of the naval strike, the risk level for this route skyrocketed. Global shipping companies began rerouting their massive oil tankers. Those that continued to transit the strait faced enormous increases in insurance premiums. The cost of moving oil jumped overnight. Gas prices at the pump began to climb in the United States and around the world. Families already dealing with economic uncertainty now face higher costs for commuting, transporting goods, heating their homes. Economists are warning that this could be just the beginning. A prolonged conflict that threatens shipping in the Gulf could trigger a global energy crisis. This would slow economic growth and could even lead to a recession. The sinking of one ship has created a ripple effect touching the wallets of millions of people who live thousands of miles away from the conflict. The human cost of this escalation is also very real and deeply tragic. Adding a volatile new layer to the crisis are stunning reports emerging from within Iran. Just as the world was grappling with the U.S. naval strike, credible intelligence sources began reporting the death of Iran's supreme leader. While official confirmation is still pending from Tehran, the news has created a massive power vacuum. When an authoritarian ruler who has held power for decades is suddenly gone, a fierce and often violent struggle to fill the void is almost inevitable. Various factions within the Iranian regime are likely now maneuvering for control. Hardline military core, more moderate political figures. This sudden leadership uncertainty in Tehran complicates the situation dramatically. It is unclear who is now in charge of Iran's military and its response to the American attack. The risk of a disorganized faction taking control or an extremist faction taking control and launching a reckless counterattack is now significantly higher. The U.S. administration has openly signaled that it intends to play a role in shaping Iran's future. This statement brings back echoes of past American efforts at regime change in the Middle East. In a related and surprising development, the White House announced the formation of a new advisory body. It is being called the Secret Board of Peace. According to the limited information released, this board will be tasked with developing a strategy for a post-war Middle East. The deep divisions in American society have been laid bare by the events of the past 24 hours. The nation seems to be split into two camps. On one side, many people have voiced strong support for the president's decisive action. They see the sinking of the Iranian frigate as a justified response to aggression that cost American lives. For them, this is a moment of national resolve. They believe that projecting strength is the only way to ensure safety in a dangerous world. This sentiment is visible in online forums on talk radio and in communities with strong military ties. They see protests against the action as unpatriotic. On the other side of the divide, a powerful anti-war movement is gaining momentum. In cities across the nation, thousands have taken to the streets. They carry signs calling for peace and diplomacy. They fear that Operation Epic Fury is the first step onto a slippery slope toward a full-blown war with Iran. These protesters are a diverse coalition of students, veterans, religious groups, and ordinary citizens. Recent polling data reflects this national split. The public is almost evenly divided on whether the president's action was justified. This lack of consensus makes it incredibly difficult for political leaders to navigate the crisis. We are now at a critical turning point. The decisions made in the next few days and weeks will shape the course of history. The sinking of the Iranian frigate may be viewed in the future as the opening shot of a much larger war. Or it could be the shocking event that forces both sides to step back from the brink and embrace diplomacy. The path forward is shrouded in uncertainty. Several key questions loom over the White House, the Capitol, the American public. Will the U.S. continue to apply military pressure on Iran? Or will it seek an off-ramp? Will Congress successfully use the War Powers Act to rein in the president? Or will the executive branch prevail in its claim of unilateral authority? Will global oil prices continue their steep climb, threatening the economic stability of nations around the world? Will the protests in American cities grow? Can a deeply divided nation find any common ground? The answers to these questions will directly affect the jobs, financial security, personal safety of ordinary people everywhere. This is not a distant foreign policy issue. It is a crisis that has come home. Beyond the immediate crisis, we must confront a deeper, more fundamental question about our democracy. Should a single leader, no matter how well-intentioned, have the power to take an action that could lead to a major war? Or should that solemn decision always require the collective wisdom and consent of the people's representatives in Congress? How we answer this question determines the kind of nation we want to be. It shapes how the rest of the world views American power, as either a force for stability or a source of unpredictable disruption. For now, every citizen has a responsibility to stay informed. It is crucial to follow credible, fact-based news sources and to listen carefully to the official statements coming from our leaders. It is important to think critically about the long-term consequences and costs of war. The United States is navigating uncharted and dangerous waters. The choices we make today, as a government and as a people, will have a profound impact for generations to come. Will our nation find a path that balances strength with wisdom and security with the rule of law? The world is watching. The moment is ours to define.